So this off season it's fascinating to me, and I thought last off season was going to be like the fascinating with bringing back Jimmy and Trey being there and how this is going to work. This might take it to a whole new level,
Oh
of
yeah,
like insanity. Like,
yeah,
could you imagine if they bring someone who is like the 20th best quarterback in like as a backup quarter as a third string quarterback? You know what I mean?
right.
And from the medical standpoint, there's been so much information. Just prior experience, I'm going to say that no one's going to know the most important thing are two things. One is what happens when he goes inside and takes a look at it finally, and the
Yeah,
second is how he responds to the rehab. Some people respond really well, and they're like 4 weeks ahead. Some people
yeah.
do not respond really well, and they have setbacks. So really,
Like
we
Trey
won't know.
Lance. Trey
Correct.
Lance had a setback. These things happen. It was
Correct.
different injury, but still, these things happen.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So
Yeah.
you won't really know until he is in the rehab process, and
Good
really,
point.
you probably won't even know until he has like a full day. How many
Good
times they
point.
throw in practice? Like, hundreds of times. So you won't
Hundreds of
really
times.
know. You won't
And
really
so
know.
and so you're gonna have to make a decision about what to do with the quarterback position before you know. So what do you do? Do you sign Nick Mullins and cross your fingers, or do you go out and sign Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, and create a huge controversy? I don't know.
Because here's the thing: is Ryan Tannehill better than Trey Lance and Brock Purdy right now? Is he?
I mean, he's not coming off an injury. He's better than Jimmy.
He's
Put
better
it
than
that way.
Jimmy.
He's better than
Yeah,
Jimmy.
right.
Yeah.
He's better than
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
It's just it's fair enough. Fair enough. I just
You know what
think
I'm saying?
like they are trying to not say our season depends on how well Brock Purdy does
Uh-huh.
and his rehab, and then if he doesn't go well or there's a setback, then we're gonna go with Trey Lance, see how that cycle goes. Because you can't tell the players that. That to me, that's unofficially saying that you're rebuilding. It's a
Yeah.
rebuilding year because of the circumstances.
And Trent
And
Williams won't allow that. George Kittle won't allow that. Kyle Juszczyk won't allow that. All the guys on offense who go to Cabo and are at least 30 won't allow that.
out of the players that go to Cabo, how many of those guys were Trey guys? By the way, out of curiosity,
Oh, I'm gonna have to say none.
none, none. Yeah,
You know what? Another
exactly.
thing, Juszczyk becomes superfluous when they go to the zone read stuff. You don't need a fullback for that. I can see why you
No,
wouldn't want that. You don't need a fullback for that.
no. Well, here's the
No,
thing. Yeah, no, no.
no.
Yeah,
Eagles don't use a fullback. No.
no. He would be a glorified blocker. And that would get mitigated by the
Remember
zone
when
read
Chip
stuff.
Kelly came to the Niners and they tried to move Bruce Miller to tight end? Yeah, that didn't work.
No, it's not going to
No.
work. It's just not going to work. And so for him, he's a de facto Pro Bowl fullback for the NFC year in year out, right? With Trey Lance, he probably is. And so it's going to be. You know what? I would say, keep an eye on the draft and see who they pick up in free agency. If they pick
Mm.
up people who are good with zone read, they pick up, or if they still stick to their formula, then you kind of get hints of what they're going to do. Also, like who they pick up because they're going to draft a running back, right? Who they draft as a running back,
Can I
and
just
how
point out?
well he
Okay, so
does.
wait, hold on. They traded up for Trey Lance. Since then, the quarterbacks they've brought into this team: Nate Sudfeld, Josh Rosen, Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson. Like this whole dual threat 11 on a thing. That was such a one off. The Niners don't want to do that. They don't. And so one more
Well,
thing. Whoever they draft this year at quarterback, whatever UDFA they bring in, I guarantee you it won't be Dorian Thompson Robinson or someone who played for Chip Kelly in a spread offense. It'll be someone who was under center because Kyle scouts the offense, not the player. I guarantee it. I
yep,
freaking guarantee it.
he it's the
Guarantee it.
offense and it's the system that they were in versus the intangibles. And then one last thing, my biggest gripe with all of this is you could have drafted Trey Lance, but you gave up all those draft picks. You could have had the guy that they have in Dallas as a pass rusher if you didn't draft Trey
Parsons.
Lance. And
Parsons.
you're telling me right now the Niners with Parsons and Bosa on the other side wouldn't have gone to the Super Bowl, would have not been just as good as the Eagles front. To me, that's the biggest gap is like, don't look at it Trey, because Trey is a developmental quarterback who may be good, but I don't know if he's ever going to get afforded the time he needs in San Francisco. He may not. But
well, the Niners can't keep a quarterback healthy. They can't develop a quarterback. I mean, it's a very even if they had Micah Parsons, they'd be going through quarterbacks left and right. You have to be able to have some stability at the quarterback position to win a Super Bowl, no matter how great your defense is. Look at Philly. Philly had it all and still lost because Kansas City's that good. Jimmy's never going to beat Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen.
No, the 49ers should be not competing against the NFC. They should be competing against the Kansas City Chiefs because it's going to be the Chiefs every other year. The Chiefs are in a rebuilding year. They had like 20. They had the third most rookies play in the league, the time-wise, and they still made it to the Super Bowl.
And what concerns me about the Niners is they're still trying to win with their defense. We have this great defense. We're going to run the ball like, that's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. You have to have a better...
How did Philly's defense look in the Super Bowl?
I didn't even notice them. The two best defenses in the league last year were the Niners and Philly. They both played Kansas City. They both got blown out. There are no great defenses anymore. There are only very good ones. And that's a great offense in Kansas City. Great. So how do you compete?
But then that goes to, so one last point, and then I'll get off. That goes back to the biggest cardinal sin is it's the offense. But the offense is constrained under Kyle because he will not adapt off his scheme. No.
His offensive line is not good enough. His quarterbacks aren't good enough. He gets his running backs hurt too much. He gets his quarterbacks hurt too much. But, boy, he's got some great weapons.
The league is caught up to Kyle because there's so many coaches that do the same thing as Kyle. So they're seeing it. They're seeing it so much more that they don't really have to. They know. They know the cadence. They know when he moves. They know when the line shifts. They know it because they see it 3 times in the year.
It's true.
They're not
they
catching
see it,
people.
A lot of these teams see it in practice every day.
Yes. Oh, you nailed it. Right.
A lot of times you see it in practice every day. Meanwhile, then you got someone like Philly who's trying to be a little bit more college style. It's like, oh, that doesn't work in the NFL. Yeah, it does. It's working right now. Andy Reid adapted to the college style. The Eagles adapted to the college style. They did. And meanwhile, you got the Niners like sort of updating, Windows 95.
Andy Reid won with Jared McKinnon as a starting running back in the Super Bowl. Let's let that sink in, Niner fans. He won with Jared McKinnon. So that shows you what Andy Reid thinks of running backs and their price tag. And he just literally picked
Andy Reid spends nothing on running backs or wide receivers. Nothing.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Kyle Shanahan spends everything on running backs and wide receivers. They're replaceable. You want them when they're young and fast, and you're supposed to be the star, Kyle. Like Andy Reid's the star. What you need is an offensive line and a quarterback, an offensive line and a quarterback, offensive line and a quarterback. But you can't figure that out.
Outside of Nick Bosa, name me another premier position that the Niners have a top 3 person in, like premier cornerstone.
Like
left
Fred
tackle,
Warner.
Fred Warner.
But like not
offense.
Not Debo. Kittle at times when he's healthy, I'll give him Kittle, but it's Kittle and Trent and Juszczyk. Please. No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess McCaffrey, I gave him. Look, McCaffrey, God love him. He was really gutted it out last year, played through injuries, didn't practice. But I just wonder how long he can keep that going, man, on this team. God. Look what Kyle did. Look what Mike did to Terrell Davis. Christian, be careful.
5 years. Terrell.
5 years.
Years.
Great call, man. Good to see you.